Okay, this is going to be kind of a first look at the new Google Sites. It's not going to be a tutorial on how to use it. It's going to kind of be a look at what I've been trying to do and the limitations that I see in it currently, and what I hope that will be improved in it. I'm doing it more for myself, and so that I have the ability to go back to this and perhaps add some, send in some suggestions for things that I would like to see changed. It might be long and rambly, just warning you up front. Anyway, we do use Google Sites currently at my school. We use them in a couple of instances. My 5th through 8th grade students all have e-portfolios on Google Sites. These are publicly shared. I'm a co-owner with them. Once they hit 8th grade, they also customize the header of their site. They all add a map, 5th and up add this map so they can track users to their site. These are publicly shared so that anyone can see them. The other kind of site that we use is one that I have set up for a teacher portfolio, teacher portal, and that lets me and the principal communicate with the teachers. We have a filing cabinet in there that has documents and links, etc. A lot of these things are things that belong just to the staff, so this site is shared only with the staff. The staff is not in a separate domain, it's within this or subdomain, it's within the same domain as the students, so it's explicitly shared with each of the teachers. And this site contains file cabinet, news and resources, tips and training materials, a calendar that includes the current things happening at the school plus some specific things geared to the teachers. And all of that's conglomerated together on the front page of the site. The first thing you see is the news and resources. Has the first 4 of those. Then it has the calendar. It has 4 of the tips and training things, and it has some recent files, so they can get at stuff either by clicking on any of the things or just by scrolling down. Again, this is not public. The teachers have to log in as themselves in order to see it, because a lot of the things in here are things, and some of the things in news, but mostly in the file cabinet are things that should not be shared with the community at large or publicly. Alright, so that's where we're coming from. In addition to those things, I use other websites. I have blogs for the computer lab, that it's to share work. We have a school website, of course. Right now that's a WordPress site. Love to eventually migrate that to a Google site if possible, but right now WordPress works for us. And then I have a wiki that I've been using for a number of years, since 2008, 2009, and it's my public-facing computer lab so that parents and others know what's going on in the lab. It's where I put the work, include any links that kids need to go to, things along that line. I use it in conjunction with Classroom. Some things are only in Classroom because they're privately shared, but anything that can be publicly shared is here, so people can kind of see what's going on in the lab. For a while I've wanted to migrate this to a Google site, and I thought this would be a good time to try that out. So that's what I'm trying to recreate over here. So as I go through the new Google Sites, a couple things I've noticed. There's a lot less themes available than were on the original sites. That's not necessarily a bad thing, though some people might think so. It'd be nice probably to have some more themes, but for now it'll be less distracting, so that's fine. You can pick the color. In this case it'll be the color of the underline, and it's the color of like different headings and things. And you can pick font style, and that varies based on the type of theme you've picked. And this only controls that and headings and things like that. So minimal themes. But the other thing that you can do is you are allowed to change the image in the header, and it's an easy change. You just click Change Image. You can pick from their gallery. Some of these will look familiar if you use forms. You can upload an image, etc., etc. It's all the normal type things. I've uploaded an image here. A couple things on that. You have no control over how it gets cropped. The new Google Sites are responsive for various devices. If you click on the preview, you'll kind of see that. It's going to show you that this is what it might look like on a large screen on a computer. Okay, it's cut off some things only because I'm not a full width screen. What it might look like on a tablet, what it might look like on a phone. Okay, so if you notice the header, it changes. And where it crops, you don't have control over. So you got to be careful on what you use for this header. I'd love it. It was more like YouTube, where at least I have the ability to say which portion of the screen is shown for the various types of devices, but that's not there right now. The other thing on the image that's a problem, I find that on most sites, you want a consistent header. But when I change the image for this front page, it does not change it on all my other pages. And in fact, this is the header image on my main page, my home page. But if I create a new page, it does not. So I'll show you a new page here. It does not take that header. I would have to change that image again. A thing on pages are created at the bottom. If you want this to be a nested page under something, you just have to pull it up into here, for example, and now it's in there. I'm going to move those around. So now you'll see it's along that line. Okay, you can delete them, that kind of a thing. So, but there's no way to apply that image to all pages. It would be nice to have that option, kind of like in slides, where I can say change it and apply to all, like I do with backgrounds, or have a site master maybe that I can set up and do that. It is not so that it would bring it in. It is nice to be able to have different headers for different pages, so that's nice. But if my students are using it for a portfolio like this, and they want the same header that's not the standard header on every page, they're going to have to every time change the image, which I think is a bit of a problem. Navigation's nice. It's a little tricky on how to change the navigation from the sidebar here up here, and you have to manually add pages, and it can be kind of a pain to do. Here it's simply a toggle. If I come over here, click here, I can change it from top navigation, which is this, to side navigation. And if I look at the published version of my site, or just even the preview of my site, you can see that the navigation has now moved over here. Top is the default this time, unlike the sidebar was the default in the past, so that's kind of nice. To create a new page, we showed you that. You just do the plus and the whatever. And then within Pages, it's really easy to insert text boxes. Just drag it over where you want it, or double click down here and you're going to see an option to add any of these things up here. It's really easy to add from Google, though you cannot embed from Blogger. In fact, I don't see any way to insert a blog or a recap of a blog into here, even if you're using Blogger. This embed URL, I've never figured out how to make that work. It never does anything except link. For example, let's say I wanted to embed this into my site so that people could see a glimpse of the blog. If I click and copy the URL, you can't see that, but that's what I did. If I paste that, it's going to say it's only going to show a link. On most blogs, there's a feed you can subscribe to. So if I say, well, let me show you where the RSS is, let's try that. So I'm going to bring in that instead. And I'll try that. Nope, it's still only a link. So I've never been able to get the URL, embed URL, to do anything. It doesn't allow you to type in embed code. It's just a URL. So some things you can't do that I think are really necessary is you can't do embed code. Yeah, things like calendar and YouTube and maps and docs and slides and sheets and all are automatic because they're part of Google. But if you want to embed from somewhere else, for example, my 8th graders this year used a site called Trinket for the Hour of Code this year, and they embedded their project into their Google site because it gave them embed code. It's not possible to add that in here. You could add an image of it, a screenshot of it, and link that, and a lot of times my students do that anyway because Google Sites certain embeds don't work, but it'd be nice if there's the ability to actually do embed code or to edit HTML to insert the embed code. I don't see any way of doing that right now. If they allowed editing of the HTML and or editing of the CSS for the themes, that would be awesome. One thing, things are automatically saved, which is awesome because sometimes my students would lose work on the older sites if they forgot to save. But you have to click publish to get the site to be published. There's some issues with sharing settings right now. I'm assuming that's because we're in this beta cycle. I'm hoping, because otherwise this is not usable. The publish settings, here's a site address, and right now anybody that's at my school can find and access it. I can't change this. And under the normal sharing settings, it looks like you've got the normal sharing settings, but I've only got can edit. Right now, if I share it with people, they can edit it. Anybody I share it with can edit. I can change this. I can even say on and with a link can access, but again, it's can edit, and it doesn't work anyway. I've tried to share it with myself explicitly, and it doesn't let me access it. So I think that's because we're in this beta period, at least I'm hoping. I need to be able to share it explicitly, not only for editing, but just for viewing. You need to be able to publish it viewable publicly and not editable. So that's a biggie that needs to change before it's usable, but I have a hunch that's because of the private beta. One cool thing is it's now stored actually in your Google Drive, which probably means that anything you upload goes into Google Drive storage. It didn't used to. Sites had a limited amount of their own storage, so if you inserted images, for example, and just uploaded them, they would count against the Google Site storage. They weren't your normal Google Drive storage. So I'm assuming that's changed, but I don't know. I can't really tell. The other cool thing, though, is in Google Classroom, if you create an assignment, you can, from Google Drive, find your Google site and add that to an assignment. Right now, I can only do view and edit. I can't say create a copy for everybody. I'm hoping that's coming, which would be an easy way to create a templated site and push it out so that students had the basic structure of a site, and then they could edit it to make it, you know, their own look and feel and add their own content, but it would give them the ability. So I'm hoping that comes along with the permission changes. So, but it is kind of cool that you can now do that because it's part of Google Drive. So anyway, I think there's a lot of potential here, but I think it still needs work. It definitely needs the ability to embed things other than Google things. It needs, for example, this map that shows where people come from. I can't embed that right now. I don't have any way. I can't see any way of embedding that. There might be a way around it with this 2D map because it's an image. But it wouldn't be a direct copy from the code that that site gives you, and it needs to be that. So there's no way to do embedding. There's no way to have a master image that's on all the pages without editing each page. It's going to be a problem in my students. Each of the years is an announcement page, and under that announcement page they have each quarter, and then under that quarter page they can do new post. So it's like a blog. There's no real way of doing that on the new site, but it could be just a separate text box that they put at the top on a page. It could be a nested page. So it's something they'll have to explore, but it's not. That is actually going to be more difficult probably than it currently is, which is interesting to think about. So I think there's definitely potential, but it definitely needs some work, in my opinion anyway, before it's really ready for schools. The sharing's the biggie. I can't let everybody be able to edit my site, and I need to be able to have it publicly viewable. I'm guessing, like I said, those are coming, but so just some thoughts. If you've tried the new Google Sites, let me know what you've discovered, or if there's any workarounds for any of the things that I've brought up.